And I'm here doing a kind of a redo of an old video that I had years ago on my channel, uh, an old channel that I'm kind of abandoning at the moment, and playing around with the YouTube's live video. So this is really only a test, and I'm going to just demonstrate the basics of a silk shibori leaf here. Um, I'm hoping that I'll be able to access the live chat feature on my laptop, which I have open off to the side of me right now, and I can't see right now any live video happening on my channel. Let me just look here real quick. Let's see. Ah, yes, here we are, live now. And I need to actually access here. And I'm going to turn my sound off there. Here we go. All right. So if anybody by chance is watching this and you make a comment, then I can answer via reading your comments on the sidebar there. So this is your basic silk shibori leaf that I pre-made here. And they don't have to always be made in green, although I'm going to make another green one. Here's another piece here where I've used a dark brown to accentuate the colors in this other floral piece. So I've got a selection of green ribbons here, and I'm going to cut off about a 6-inch piece of ribbon. That looks like to be a little bit more than 6. It is actually, so let's just trim it down. So I've got a 6-inch piece of the ribbon here, and I'm going to fold it in half with the right sides together. This ribbon does have a right and a wrong side for the most part, because every 2 yards or so, 2.5 yards, there will be a diagonal seam because this is a silk satin bias ribbon. And one side is a little bit shinier than the other. So that's the side I consider the right side. So I'm going to fold this in half like so. And I've threaded up a needle here. Oftentimes I will use a clear thread, but for this video I'm using, it's just a 1G kind of neutral color here. So starting at the folded edge, I'm going to insert my needle close to the seam and just make a running stitch down the edge here, catching both sides of this ribbon and kind of teasing the pleats open with my fingers as I run down this edge here. And I'm about an 1/8 of an inch or so from the edge of the ribbon. And when I get down to the bottom of it, I'll pull that up and I'll pull out any gathers there because I want this to be a flat seam. All right, so at the end here, because I'm not going to make a knot, I'm just going to take a couple of securing stitches in the same place to hold that seam, and then I got a little knot in that. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to turn this piece. All right, so I've turned it, and after turning it, I'm going to put a little piece of batting inside here. Not too much because I don't want to overstuff the leaf, but just a little, just to give it a little bit of body. And my needle still being connected, I'm going to take that needle and I'll just do a couple securing stitches right in the center. So I've pulled that leaf out and I've centered it with the seam and taken a couple securing stitches, and I'm going to run my needle from the center to the edge. Now this doesn't have to be a tiny stitch because this is going to be a gathering stitch. So it doesn't have to be, it's not going to be seen, and since it's just going to be gathered, it doesn't need to be a tiny running stitch. So I'm running my needle back the opposite way from the edge to the center to secure that gathered section. And I'm going to do the same with the other side. Okay, so I'm running my needle again to the other side, and again I'll run it back through to the center again. All right, so there we are. There's your leaf. Now I'll just do a couple of securing stitches and cut my thread, as well as this excess here. Just kind of clean that up a little bit. So there's my leaf. The leaf is really, really simple and quite versatile, as you may have seen. Let me see if I can grab one right here. Do I have one handy? I'm not seeing it right now. I'll have to bring that in the next video. But the poinsettia flowers that I do are nothing more than a series of these leaves. So you get 4 outer leaves connected around, and then 3 smaller leaves in the center, but all in red. So in general, I would put this onto with a flower. Could be an organza flower, or it could be a shibori ribbon flower. But there's also, I might do a vine of some sort and attach a bunch of leaves with some various flowers. But that's the basic leaf. And it can be done in different sizes by splitting the ribbon in half. For example, if I were to take this ribbon and cut a shorter piece, I could even cut this ribbon down the center and make a small leaf. Okay, so the same exact process, but just with a smaller piece of ribbon. Maybe I'll just do a quick one right here for you. This is a piece of invisible thread that I have here already threaded up on a needle. Again, I'm just stitching from the fold to the cut edges. Push my needle through there. Trim the tail off of that. And again, pull out the seam so that it's flat and there's no gathers in it. Take a couple of stitches to secure that. Again, turn, and again, let's just grab a little bit of batting in there. I put it up into the corner there and bring the center of that to the center where my needle is still attached. You probably can't see the thread here, but it's there. I'm lucky right now that the dogs haven't started barking. I can hear the street sweeper going by outside. Maybe you can too. So again, I'm running this back and forth to the side. I'll pull that up and run that back to the center. I'll flip it over and do the same thing. Just tuck that inside there. And this stitch doesn't have to be real pretty or anything. Its only purpose is to gather the end. So again, I'll run that to the center. I'll pull that up and I'll make a little gathering, I'm sorry, not a gathering stitch. I'll make a little securing stitch there a couple of times before I cut my thread. And oops, I don't want to get it wrapped around that because I'm going to cut that off in the end. So maybe I'll do that right now. And one more little stitch here. And I can cut my thread. Okay, so here we have a tiny leaf. So you can add a small leaf to a larger leaf and add flowers for hats, for other decorative purposes. I see a lot of people using the shibori ribbon in crazy quilting, jewelry making, and so forth. So, of course, the bead embroidery is another use, but I'll do another video on that at another time. So I'm going to sign off right now, and we'll see if this video is decent enough to save or if I'll dump it and redo it. But this is